The forest was alive with secrets. I had come to the Pacific Northwest to investigate whispers of something colossal and unexplainable. As a journalist specializing in cryptids, my inbox brimmed with stories of strange creatures from around the world, but there was something uniquely haunting about the emails I'd received in the last month. They were different, not just wild tales of distant roars or oversized footprints, but fresh, vivid encounters that couldn't be ignored. The first email came from a man named Bill Tully, a retired firefighter in Snoqualmie, Washington. The subject line read, "I saw him, the Bigfoot is real." Bill's story was terse but detailed. He had been hiking alone in the Alpine Lakes wilderness when, at the edge of a dense ravine, he spotted a figure crouched low near the water. It wasn't a bear. The shoulders were too broad, the arms too long, and the head, oh the head, conical and crowned with matted fur. Bill had frozen, watching as the creature dipped its hands into the rushing stream, scooping up fish with an ease that made his stomach turn. Bill Tully, VO. "I know what I saw. I'm not crazy. I have no reason to lie. If you're interested in hearing more, let me know." Intrigued, I set up a call with Bill the next day. His voice was gravelly, worn down by age and the weight of his own conviction. Bill Tully, VO. "I know people laugh when they hear stories like mine, but when you see something like that, your life splits into a before and after. I've been out in the wild for decades. I know what bears look like. This thing wasn't a bear. Bill's story wasn't unique. Over the past several months, reports of Bigfoot sightings had surged. Rangers in Oregon had flagged unexplained damage to remote cabins, with doors smashed off their hinges and claw marks gouged deep into the wood. Hunters in Northern California had come back from expeditions swearing they'd heard guttural whoops echoing through the valleys, sounds that made their blood run cold. But it wasn't just the recent accounts that piqued my interest. It was the eerie similarities they shared with encounters from decades past. The shadow of history loomed large, from the infamous Patterson-Gimlin film of 1967 to the bloody siege of Ape Canyon in 1924, where prospectors claimed they were attacked by ape men who hurled boulders at their cabin. The stories spanned generations, each thread weaving into a tapestry of mystery. As I dug deeper, I realized that the heart of this story wasn't just in the sightings, it was in the people. The ones who swore they'd come face to face with the impossible and were brave, or foolish, enough to tell the world about it. And so began my journey, a quest to unearth the truth about one of humanity's greatest mysteries. Bill wasn't the only one I spoke to that week. As soon as I posted a teaser on my blog, seeking first-hand Bigfoot encounter stories for an investigative piece, my inbox turned into a flood of emails. Some were obvious hoaxes, full of exaggerated details and shaky grammar, but a handful stood out for their sincerity. The one that caught my attention next came from a woman named Clara Drummond, who claimed to have an encounter just 2 weeks ago. Clara lived in Forks, Washington, a small town perched on the edge of the Olympic National Forest. Her email was brief but compelling. Clara Drummond, VO. It was dusk when I saw him. At first I thought it was a shadow, something from the trees. But it moved in a way shadows don't. I don't care if you believe me or not, but I've never seen anything so tall, so human and not human at the same time. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes I see his eyes. He wasn't afraid of me. I called Clara the same day. She was jittery on the phone, her voice shaking with nerves. She agreed to meet in person, but only in the daylight and in a public spot. We settled on a coffee shop near her home. Clara arrived wearing sunglasses and a hoodie as if she didn't want anyone to recognize her. She was young, mid-30s maybe, and looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her hands trembled as she stirred sugar into her coffee. Clara Drummond. It was my fault. I went hiking alone. I've done it 1,000 times before, but that day, something felt different. The forest was too quiet. No birds, no wind, just this stillness. She paused, glancing around the coffee shop as if checking for eavesdroppers. Clara Drummond. I was about 3 miles in when I saw him. He was standing between 2 trees, maybe 20 feet away. At first I thought it was a tree trunk, you know? But then he moved. Clara wrapped her arms around herself as if to shield against the memory. Clara Drummond. He didn't run. He didn't make a sound. He just stood there, staring at me. His eyes. They weren't like an animal's. They were deep, intelligent, almost human. I don't know how long we stared at each other. It felt like hours, but it was probably just seconds. "What did you do?" I asked. Clara Drummond. I ran. I know you're not supposed to, but I couldn't help it. I just ran as fast as I could. I didn't stop until I got back to my car. And did he chase you? Clara Drummond. No. He didn't move. He just watched me go. Like he was letting me leave. Her story sent a chill down my spine. I had heard dozens of similar accounts over the years. The eerie silence, the intense stare, the overwhelming sense of being allowed to leave. It was as if these creatures were more curious than predatory, studying us as we studied them. Beck, VO. My grandpa never got over it. He'd wake up screaming sometimes, swearing they were coming back. He used to say, "They're not animals, they're people, just not like us." What do you think happened out there? I asked. Gary Beck, VO. I don't know, but my grandpa wasn't a liar. Whatever he saw, it scared him enough to quit prospecting for good. The most famous Bigfoot encounter of all time remains the Patterson-Gimlin film, shot in 1967 in Bluff Creek, California. The footage shows a large bipedal creature striding along a riverbank, glancing back at the camera before disappearing into the trees. Skeptics have argued for decades that the film is a hoax, but no one has definitively debunked it. I reached out to Bob Gimlin, one of the two men behind the camera, to see if he would speak to me. To my surprise, he agreed. Bob Gimlin? People called us liars, said it was just a guy in a suit. But I know what I saw. That thing was real and it wasn't human. I asked Bob why he thought the creature had allowed them to film it. His answer was chilling. Bob Gimlin, I don't think it cared. It knew we were there, but it wasn't afraid. It just went about its business like we were beneath its notice. The further I delved into the phenomenon of Bigfoot encounters, the more I realized how many stories ended not with sightings, but with vanishings. Every year, hikers, hunters, and campers disappear without a trace in North America's dense forests. Most cases are chalked up to accidents, falls, animal attacks, or getting lost in the wilderness. But a small percentage defy explanation. I decided to focus on one such case, the disappearance of Dennis Fenton, a seasoned outdoorsman who vanished in 2018 near Mount Hood, Oregon. Dennis was a survivalist, a man who knew the forest better than most people know their own homes. He'd set out alone on a weekend camping trip and was never seen again. Search parties combed the area for weeks, but all they found was his campsite, a tent torn to shreds, his supplies scattered, and his rifle left behind. What disturbed the searchers most were the footprints surrounding the site. John McCrae, they were huge, easily 18, 19 inches long, and they weren't bear tracks. Bears don't walk on two legs. I tracked John down for an interview. He was reluctant to speak at first, but when I mentioned the theme of my investigation, he sighed heavily and invited me to his home. John McCrae. Look, I don't want to come off as some conspiracy nut, but I know what I saw. Those tracks weren't human, and they weren't made by any animal I know of. They were deep too. Whatever made them was heavy. Real heavy. I asked John if he thought Dennis had been taken by something. He hesitated, then nodded slowly. John McCrae, yeah, I do. We never found a body, no blood, no sign of a struggle other than the campsite. It's like he was just plucked out of existence. Not all encounters end with disappearances, but even those who escape often carry the memory with them like a scar. Take the case of Greg and Dana Morrison, a married couple who were camping in the Ozarks when they heard something they could never explain. Greg Morrison, it started with this weird knocking sound, like someone was hitting two pieces of wood together. It was rhythmic, almost deliberate. I thought maybe it was another camper messing around, but when I shouted, the noise stopped. Then came the howl. Greg Morrison, I've been hunting since I was a kid, and I've heard coyotes, wolves, even mountain lions. This wasn't any of those. It was deep, guttural, like it came from something massive. It made my chest vibrate. Dana Morrison, we didn't see anything, but we felt it. The forest got so quiet it was like the trees were holding their breath. We packed up and left that night. We haven't been camping since. Greg and Dana's story mirrored dozens of others I'd encountered. Unexplained knocking, inhuman howls, and the oppressive stillness that seemed to signal the presence of something watching. One of the most compelling stories came from a man named Victor Reyes, a recluse who lived off-grid in a remote valley in Montana. Victor had reached out to me after reading one of my blog posts, claiming he'd had multiple encounters with Bigfoot over the years. Victor Reyes, I don't call him Bigfoot. Around here we just call him the Watcher. Victor's cabin was a modest structure surrounded by dense forest. Inside it was cluttered with maps, books, and strange artifacts. A plaster cast of an oversized footprint, a jar of coarse black hair, and a collection of crude wooden carvings that Victor claimed he hadn't made. Victor Reyes. They leave these sometimes, it's like we have an understanding. Victor led me outside to a clearing about 50 yards from his cabin. Victor Reyes. This is where I see him the most. He never comes too close, but he's there, watching. I asked Victor why he thought the creature hadn't harmed him. Victor Reyes. I think it knows I respect it. I don't go looking for it, and I don't try to scare it off. It's like we have an understanding. By the time I left Victor's cabin, I was no closer to finding definitive proof of Bigfoot's existence, but I was more convinced than ever that the stories were real. These people weren't lying. They had seen something, heard something, felt something. And then, on my last night in Montana, it happened to me. I was camping alone, a mile from the nearest road. The fire crackled softly as I jotted notes in my journal. The forest around me was quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves. Then came the knocking. 3 sharp cracks like wood on wood echoed through the trees. I froze, my pen hovering over the page. Hello? No answer, just the oppressive silence. And then I saw it. A shadow moved between the trees, massive and deliberate. My heart pounded as I fumbled for my flashlight, but by the time I aimed it, the shadow was gone. For the rest of the night, I sat by the fire, clutching my flashlight and listening to the whispers of the forest. Whatever had been out there, it was gone by morning. But I knew I'd been watched. Bigfoot remains an enigma, a creature that exists on the edge of our understanding. The stories I collected, both historical and modern, paint a picture of something ancient, intelligent, and elusive. Whether it's an undiscovered species, a relic of our evolutionary past, or something stranger, one thing is clear: the forest holds secrets we may never fully uncover. As for me, I'll never forget the eyes in the woods, or the feeling that I had been watched. It was as if the creature had been deciding something, whether to let me go or to add my story to the list of those who disappeared. I'm grateful it chose the former. Before you go, please like and subscribe to help support my channel. Every click helps me continue to grow, share stories like these, and dig deeper into the mysteries of our world. Together we can keep the search alive. Thank you for watching and stay curious.